Nigeria's main opposition party, the People Democratic Party, PDP, has begun the search for a running mate to its presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections. Atiku Abubakar, less than 48 hours after the election of the former vice president at the primaries held in Abuja. According to the report in Monday's edition of Nigeria's influential newspaper, This Day, top members from South and Southeast regions of the country are topping the list of prospective running mates being considered by PDP's authorities. Among those being considered are Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa and his Akwa Ibom State counterpart Udom Emmanuel, who came fifth with 38 votes in the presidential primaries. Also in the list are Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki and former Senate President Ayim Pius Ayim. The PDP, like other political parties, has just the 17th of June deadline set by the Independent National Electoral Commission to meet for the submission of the names of its running mates.
Joining us to discuss Atiku's search for a running mate and to review the PDP presidential primaries and chances of its candidates in the election is President of Women in Politics Forum, Ebere Ifendu. Thanks so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to have your assessment of the PDP primaries that was conducted over the weekend and that produced Atiku Abubakar as the PDP flag bearer. Would you say that the process was free, fair, and credible?
Well, I think I would say that it was full of intrigues, but from how it was conducted, we cannot say it wasn't free and fair because everyone witnessed it. It was an open contest. And I think, like the PDP chairman said, that Alhaji Tambuwal, actually, His Excellency Alhaji Tambuwal, was the hero of the convention. So for Tambuwal to have taken that bold decision to step down and ask his supporters to vote for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, I think it was the turnaround of the convention. And again, also, other intrigues, played out. Some of us were wondering how somebody like Ayo Fayose will come out without a vote. And then we came to realize that secretly he stepped down also for his friend, the governor of Rivers State. So that's why I use the word intrigues. A lot of intrigues, a lot of politicking played out. Surprisingly, also, the Southeast delegates actually thought would have voted for the Southeast aspirants. Unfortunately, that wasn't what played out. We saw that the frontline aspirants, the former secretary to the government, Ayim Pius, could only gather 14 votes, while Samuel Habunwa got 1 vote, and the other aspirants from the Southeast got 0. So it was really a contest that no one could actually predict. In the morning before the convention, most people, tipped Wike to be the winner of the primaries. And by the end of the day, just some few minutes past midnight, because we were all glued to the television watching to get immediate information about what transpired there, we saw that Atiku won. And so, yes, there was politicking, there was transactional things that took place there. The delegates, 774 of them, having to, determine the future of PDP. So it was more of who could. I don't even want to say that it was more of who could, give more money, because both of them had the capacity, and in fact, almost all the aspirants. So it has come and gone. It's clear now that Alhaji Atiku is the candidate of PDP. And so what is left before them, what is there now before them is to, number one, begin to think of who will be the vice president. And I'm saying that a very young woman participated also, and she was able to get a local government to vote for her. Because only 774 local governments, and she was able to get 1 vote. And I take that vote as a mileage. So Tari Oliver did very well. And in course of, looking for a vice president, I think it's high time we should be talking about a woman becoming a vice president. For me, if you ask me, Tari Oliver will be a good, candidate for vice president, for her to occupy the position of a vice president. Let us for once have a woman as a vice president. So I'm still optimistic, and I know, yes, a lot of things will be put in place, a lot of things will be considered. I'm sure that there will be consideration of popularity, about finance and the rest. But I want to say that Nigerian women, we have our PVCs, and we are looking out for that political party that will give us a woman as a running mate. And definitely, Nigerian women will support, that cause. Thank you.
Ms. Ifendu, I really like that. We really do have our PVCs, and we are looking for a ticket with the female running mate. But I want to take you back to what we were talking about earlier, the transactional nature of the primaries. We saw a lot that transpired, and you briefly mentioned that as well. A former investment banker, before stepping to the side, and I'm talking about Mohammed Hayatuddin, he actually decried the fact that it was a money game, it was money politics. And I want to speak about voter apathy as a result of this. We see the money being bandied around. We see a lot of interests that are being pushed on a monetary basis. But what does that do for the actual citizens and what the representation we want? It seems that the more this plays out, the less some people might be interested in this whole electoral process, as it seems a little bit shambolic. What do you have to say about that for those who might be tired of watching this masquerade show continue?
Yes, definitely. The money game will affect a lot of people. It will affect more people that would have loved to come out to contest. We saw, like you rightly said, Mr. Hayatuddin stepping down, and then talking about finance, monetization of the process. We also saw a candidate like Peter Obi also, stepping down and then, leaving the PDP, talking about also the monetization of the process. But you see that this is not just about PDP. It's what is happening in all the political parties. And even the ones that the so-called smaller political parties. Because I always tell people that there is no small political party in Nigeria. They are of equal standard, and all of them play equal politics. And so monetization is not what we're going to talk about as, looking at it as if it's a PDP thing. No, it is a problem with all the political parties. I'm also worried of, what will happen during the general elections. If the political parties, from even the sale of forms, we should be also talking about from the sale of forms, the disenfranchisement started at that point. Now and again, the general elections, with INEC coming up with the use of beavers and then the electronic transfer of votes, you will know that it's going to be, a little more difficult for anyone to even think of rigging the elections. And I tell them that we have moved from ballot snatching and the rest, and we are heading towards monetization again, because there's going to be massive vote buying. And so I'm calling on the security agencies, I'm calling on EFCC, I'm calling on everyone that is concerned, to have a genuine democracy, to begin to look towards that direction and then find ways of curbing the use of money to buy votes. Because if you look at it, the delegates, I saw some pictures of delegates having a field day. Some of them had, it was a cartoon anyway, of, a mountain of food with assorted meat and things like that. It was just to show that, look, if you're going to vote, there must be something that you'll get out of it. Somebody will tell you, I'll have to get money to make a proper pot of soup and things like that. But it's not a joke. It is what we are going to be facing during these general elections. And at this time, it's the time for each and every one of us to really say no to that. And, to be vigilant. It's really not going to be the work of the security agencies alone. Some of the, the organizations as observers, and then even the voters themselves should ensure they are more vigilant to, to see that we do not accept the use of money, to get votes out for any party and then for any candidate.
All right, Ebere, let's vista into the Southeast. There were talks, massive talks about what they will do and the fact that they should not accept second fiddle in this particular election. Now it is clear that no Southeasterner is going to run on the auspices of the PDP. And maybe we might have somebody coming as a vice from that particular region. Do you think that they will heed to the clamor of the Ohaneze Nigbo not to go for the vice? Or do you think they will exclude themselves totally, since they've been clamoring that power should shift towards the southeast?
Well, my honest advice is that they should not exclude themselves anymore. I mean, we had on Haneze coming up. Yeah, we had on Haneze coming up to say that the power should move to the southeast. We had an opportunity. We had people that contested from the southeast, and like I just gave analysis, Pius Animu was, more or less a frontline runner, got only 14 votes, and at that convention we had 92 votes. So you'll be asking yourself, why did he not at least get the 92 votes? Or you understand what I'm saying? He should have, at least taken the 92 votes from the southeast. That didn't happen. And so if we now ask them not to, take a vice presidential position, what are we doing? We have to ensure that in every political party that the interest of the southeast will be protected. I'm aware that APC is having the screening of their candidates, of their aspirants today. And we are looking forward, to get a candidate from the southeast, also from APC. I'm also aware that His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi is also in Labour Party as the presidential aspirant, and as we speak, I think that their convention is also, going on somewhere in a Delta State. So every opportunity. I mean, you cannot just say because you didn't get a position in a particular party, you will not make do with what is next for you. My sincere advice to the people from the south is to ensure is that they will have to take whatever position that is left. Politics is about, sharing of interest, negotiation, interest, and the rest. So if your interest as in getting the presidential
I want to say thank you very much for your time
what
today.
Stops you?
That's the much you can actually take.